And our top story this hour, the African National Congress has extended its heartfelt condolences to the family, friends and colleagues, as well as comrades of Gavin Watson.
Watson died in a car crash this morning. In a statement, the ANC said that Watson, together with his brothers Ronnie, Cheeky and Valence, associated themselves with the struggle for liberation at an early age and fought side by side with many compatriots against apartheid.
The party said that in particular, Watson also played a significant role in providing support through the family businesses to many activists and operatives of Mkondo Wesizwe who were being pursued by the police and were also fleeing Port Elizabeth and the Eastern Cape as a whole at the time.
Police are investigating a case of culpable homicide. Police say that Watson was driving into the OR Tambo International Airport when he reportedly lost control of his vehicle and collided with a concrete pillar that was holding up a highway bridge.
He was certified dead on the scene. Watson was implicated at the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture in relation to allegations of corruption at Bosasa. His family has released a statement asking for privacy and space to mourn.
Well, as we've been reporting, the tragic loss of Watson has been sadly received by those who grew up with him.
Mveleli Ncula, who was very close to Watson and also played rugby with the Watson brothers, says the family was passionate about alleviation of poverty in Alicedale, where Watson grew up.
Watson always used what he had to make a difference to those in need. Our reporter Lerato Thipa has more.
Well, the sudden and tragic passing of Gavin Watson has been received definitely sadly by those who were close to him. Earlier on, I got to sit down and chat with a man by the name of Mveleli Ncula, who was actually a friend who grew up with Mr. Watson in Alicedale. You'll remember that this is where the Watsons found their roots. It is where they learned how to speak isiXhosa fluently, predominantly really pushed by their father, who was a pastor, and believed that it was important that people know their own language and also know another language as well. Interesting stuff that I've learned from Mr. Mveleli now is that although the family was well off in Alicedale, but every time they had a little extra cent, they would make sure that they play their part in alleviating poverty in Alicedale. And those are some of the heartwarming stories we've heard about Gavin Watson, how even though he was also a man very well sound in business, but every time he had a little cash and extra money, he would take what he has and make sure that those around him benefit. But let's talk now to Mveleli, a childhood friend of Mr. Watson, obviously sad after his passing. Tell us more about this man outside the business sector. Mr. Mveleli, you grew up with the Watsons. Perhaps you know them very well and know Gavin very well. Some of your fond memories of him as you guys grew up in Alicedale.
Okay, yes, indeed, Lerato, I know him very well. He's a year older than me. But before we move any further, let me express our condolences with the entire Watson family. As we say in Xhosa, Watson. It is indeed a sad loss. I know them very well. Before they settled at Alicedale, Alicedale is 80 km from Port Elizabeth, and they had a farm at a place called Ripik East. Now Ripik East is about 25 km from Alicedale. And they also established a butchery at Alicedale. That's when I came into contact with them. More especially Gavin. At that time, Gavin was at the Graham College and also his siblings. He was a very good rugby player at school level. I remember when he had to participate in an Eastern Province school's rugby trial in preparation for the Craven Week. Their father used to ask us to give him practice where there was a rugby field nearby the butchery. And then we used to tackle him very hard, but then those days he was a tough guy, make no mistake, very big body for a schoolboy. So you had to be very, very ready to tackle him in the first place, and also if it was his turn to tackle you, then that was a problem, because he was much bigger than us. I mean, we were skinny little boys from Alicedale.
In terms of rugby, I know that the three brothers were passionate about rugby, and he was more passionate about business. But also the family also played a role in trying to highlight the plight of black rugbyers in the Eastern Cape, and on the forefront of trying to show that Eastern Cape has the potential to produce quality black players. And talk us more about his involvement in that as well.
Yeah. They had this advantage of being able to speak, fluent Xhosa, because of their grounding their families. And I must also hasten to say, Lerato, they come from a very, very good family, a Christian family. And they were not just doing that for business ends. They believed a great deal. Hence, I believe that Gavin Watson, wherever he was in business, he always started his day with a prayer. So that upbringing, the Christian upbringing, made them to see people as their equals. For instance, in rugby, when they came over to Port Elizabeth, they decided to link up with the clubs in KwaZulu Rugby Union. You'll remember then that Kwaru, as we call it, was a member of SARU, which believed in circles where we used to say you can't play normal sport in an abnormal society. They believed greatly in that. I hear other people saying that they opened their businesses in Port Elizabeth just for business reasons. That was not the case. Yes, Gavin was never brilliant on the rugby field as compared to his younger brothers, Ronnie and Chick in particular. But one could see from an early age that his desire was in business. For instance, in December during holidays, he used to help his father, rounding up people that used to buy meat from their butchery, on account, and try and get them to pay the money owed. But they also saw to it that besides business, there was the social responsibility side. Now, Alicedale is a very, very poor area. It was poor then, but it's much, much more poorer than today. So they used to help families that struggled, driven by Gavin and his father Dan. So I must say, well, much as his younger brothers like Valence and Chiki contributed to the cause of Kwaru, Gavin was not that very strong there. Yes, he did play for St. Cyprian's, having moved from Crusaders, which was a white club. But again, one could sense, even at that early stage, that his heart was with the poor people.
In terms of speaking about poor people, he also started an organization called Concerned Citizens, where he wanted to teach people that it was better to work with the ANC as opposed to against them. Against that speaks back to his reasoning or his passion about helping the people to build the people as well. Yes, no, it certainly did that. In fact, from Alicedale, there are lots of people who I know that were helped by him. And he wouldn't do it openly just for the sake of publicity and all those kinds of things. He was that type of a guy that used to do things just, aside from the public glare. And then lastly, just when you think about Gavin, any funny lines that he used to say? I don't know if he was a humorous person or he liked to joke around, just your fond memories of him while growing up with him.
Yeah, no, he used to, some of the language was crude. I don't know whether Lerato will want me to say, for instance, he'll say to a guy who's doing nonsense, say, hey, Tunsolako. Now, Tunsolako is, Xhosa speakers will know that. That was his type. His language, I won't say it was rough, but he used to use the lingo,
And then just in closing, what about his character will you carry with you going forward that you feel that has a potential to be a lasting legacy for him?
Yes, he had the potential. One thing, he was a very, very strong character. If he believes in something that is good, he'll really stick to that. But also he didn't suffer fools, one thing, about him. But I would say his heart was with the poor people. Now, if you consider his background, as a family, and also his Christian beliefs, I think were the things that made him much stronger and stronger. It's indeed a sad loss, really. Me personally, knowing him from Alicedale, I feel very, very bad about it. I'd wish he would stay some more years, but unfortunately, the good Lord out there is calling me now.
Well, that was Mveleli Ncula, a childhood friend from Alicedale where the Watsons grew up, speaking about fond memories about Mr. Watson, saying that Mr. Watson was a very strong man, a very opinionated man, strong in his belief as well, a Christian man who had a heart for the poor, and that's the legacy that he believes Mr. Watson must be remembered for. But for now, let's go back to you in studio.